This is a viral video Q and AMP. A skit. All characters will spontaneously differ during the remaining of this video. All answers will be heard by other characters. The first question is:
Ashikaga, tell us your full biographical information about you. After that, tell us about your recent adventures you've traveled before the beginning the year's ascent. How many strangers you've met during the beginning?
As you can tell, I am Ashikaga Ryotake Kuniharu, a Japanese time traveler in space predicting the Nebula's in the remaining years. I play a role as a time traveler, and, to tell you, this is a big role for me and the cast of Ashikaga Kuniharu's Nebula time travel. You know, I tell which future year and there I am now. Trust me, this video is dedicated to FHC Pictures 2019 so the bullying of characters in the future. So anyways, back to the setting. So in the film, it is 2051 anno domini, right after I was 31. I am in the Jones era, so scientifically, the year is Jones 1. Yes, it's a big deal, I admit that, but, also this video is not real, it takes place beyond the future. So, one of my three strangers I met are, Yosemite-Sam, which is Fujisawa Yoshinao, Yosemite-Sam the second, which is Ozokara Kinaka, and Yosemite-Sam the third, which is Mogami Moroyoshi. Well, as you can tell, I have a lot of strangers that I met in the future. But let's not talk about it because this is not about anything else, it's about what I do for an hobby.
Elliot Shawcross, many people have noticed about your appearance. Were you prone to species dysphoria after you've met Ashikaga Kuniharu? And your accent looks very different, since you were born this way. Which location does your accent take place in, and when were you born since you went in the future with Kuniharu?
Here's the main reason why I got those problems. You see, I was diagnosed by species dysphoria before that. Second, my accent was somewhat in the New Yorkish style, although I'm not much of an Italian-American person. Oh. And lastly, every person wants to know that I'm a wolf. Well, of course, I am a wolf. Who would want to know that? Ho 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 ho. Oh. When I first met Ashikaga Kuniharu, he told us that we're in 2329 AD, part of the House Nebula. I told him too. Sure, it was a good start for Ashikaga himself, since he was a Japanese space-time traveler. Good for him, that man. Before he went out for his last trip, I told him that I would see him well in the present, and I would promise after. In closing, that was a good future trip so far. I can't wait for me to meet him again in the future. Oh, I can't wait.
Is this your first time meeting someone else you know, Elliot Shawcross?
Well, this was my first time meeting someone I know. When it came to the Nebula, I've noticed why I came here. I haven't seen Ashikaga Kuniharu for decades, because he was a very fine lad. Well, I wish I hadn't seen him if I was a wolf. Maybe so, I would become friends with Kuniharu before that.
Who are the Yosemite brothers?
The Yosemite Brothers are independent space cowboys that came in the following years. You know, every cowboy is independent. Well, who needs a ground earth cowboy when you have the Yosemite Brothers?
Mogami Moroyoshi, tell us about your character, after Ashikaga Kuniharu just came in the year Bungo 21. Who is a descendant of Hosokawa and Fujisawa's ancestors since you were born. Where did you use information about the Red Yosemite-Sam Nebula?
Well, I play as the next Yosemite Sam in the Bungo era. And trust me, my costume designer picked something that was part of my style. After that, I put everything on, including my attire, and I thought I was wearing the 20th Intelligence Squadron attire. Well, truth be told, to match just like the mascot of the 20th Intelligence Squadron in Off But I had to choose which costume I am using. Then, after I chose this costume, I decided to go on with the black striped yellow hat that I am usually wearing right now. Once I do, I looked in the mirror to show that I was the next Yosemite Sam in the Bungo era, and I was right. So, my other ancestors were wearing a little less like Yosemite Sam, but for me, I wear exactly like Yosemite Sam in space, but with the 20th Intelligence Squadron attire. And I quickly bursted into laughing because my attire fits perfectly. Just before I went on stage. Ha 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 ha. Didn't you know that I was the one who laughed myself on the stage before the director said cut? That was a funny blooper of the making of Ashikaga Kuniharu's Nebula time travel, and I decided to try saying the lines again and again before I remembered to memorize it. Isn't that pretty?
Introduce the other groups that are in Mankyo 25, Jazai 18 and in Kakugai 20.
Before I do, I will show you the groups that I visited. As you see, I have Tensley, Breckinridge, and Shawcross, of which I met them in upcoming years. Oh, here comes the General. Take the stage, General.
You might notice him right after he was in the future. He had a name in which I can't pronounce it right.
Vel, tjast kall mig General Øyvind Bakker Halvorsson. Adisent antord for Uben Halvorsson. I have once met Ashikaga Kuniharu for se first time, and it kind of go along pretty well.
After Ashikaga met the general, he met the other two visitors named Cornelius Breckinridge and Leander Tensley.
Well, you've heard our names, which is why Kuniharu met us before his last trip, following Kuniharu to Earth in the present.
That's why we've founded him in the next nebula, which is called the Kingsley Town Nebula.
Well, Parton is predicting to the future, but he was about as smart as we are, Elliot Shawcross.
That's quite the same thing to me too, although he did talk to me last future year.
And I would say, he would think more than he would expect for a bear, isn't it?
Quite. He's like another space-time traveler in the future.
This concludes our skit of the viral video Q&A. If you haven't watched the trailer yet, see it now before you'll watch the movie. Or if you have watched the trailer and you want to see the movie now, watch the full, mega full and the 13-minute video on YouTube now.